I want to really make therapy cool. Something that happened in your school days, something that happened there, which triggers off a certain behavior in you. When you touch those parts in casual conversation, things you've never discussed with the best of your friends or even your wife or your family, it just opens yourself up to not being ashamed of your own life.
You're watching Zen-Brain, and the purpose of this platform is to normalize conversations around emotional and mental health. And today we have our Balki, former advertising creative and group chairman of the advertising agency Lowe Lintas, and now a well-known screenwriter and director of popular movies like Cheeni Kum, Pa and Padman, and producer of various movies like English, Vinglish and Dear Zindagi, both written and directed by Gauri Shinde, who's his wife, incidentally. Dear Zindagi is perhaps one of the only films I know that has tackled the issue of mental health beautifully and with immense maturity. He's also on Zen-Brain to show you that behind that strong exterior is also a man who has had his shares of lows, dealt with failure, and believes in therapy. Enough said, we'll let him do the talking now. Thanks, Balki, for being on Zen-Brain.
Pleasure, my pleasure.
So before we talk about films and advertising, anyone who's interacted with you, including me, see you as this sharp, cut and dried, fearless creative, unafraid to speak his mind, like you don't give a damn about what anyone else thinks about you. Do you view yourself like that? And do you think that comes from your upbringing?
No, it doesn't come from anything but the realization of the fact that I have nothing else but what I believe in. And if I don't stay true to that, then what's the point? It's just that, because it's at any point of time, that's all I have, I believe.
And have you stuck to those core beliefs? Like, do you know when you're right about something? Whether it was advertising, whether it's now as a filmmaker, do you just know?
See, I don't know. This right and wrong is a very mythical concept, but I think I've always believed in what's right for me is the rightest thing that I can do at that point of time. So that's right for me. That may not be right for anybody else, but if I'm in charge of something and if it's my responsibility to figure out things, then I have to believe in my concept of right. And that's what I've always been. Because if you start questioning that, oh, there could be this point of view or this point of view. Yes, there can be many points of view, but uh, only you can kind of, if you've been given the job of figuring out what is right, you've got to believe in what you feel is right. You can't kind of just keep wandering around everywhere else. You just have to stay true to it. And because you can lose it very fast, because the thing of these instinctive, when you feel something very instinctively, it's very easy to lose it too. In the noise of logic, in the noise of opinion, in the noise of a lot of things, it's tough to lose it. So it's about just staying true to it.
Staying true to it. I want to get into that a little bit more in a while, but I want to get back to your childhood. You always considered yourself very middle of the road, you mentioned, never topped anything. So tell us about what was your turning point?
I was never told I was the best, neither was I told I was the worst. I was told nothing. So therefore, it was just like I just wandered along. I wasn't, I genuinely believed I wasn't very good at anything, but it didn't mean that I was bad at anything. So it's actually when you're a child, when you're not good at anything, you just wander along, even though nobody has called you bad. What actually changed for me at one point of time was a kind of a cricket match that I played with the neighboring teams in the area, in the locality, and I was okay. I was one of those guys who used to come play cricket. Something that particular day, I think, was a change thing, but everything was like I knew my footwork was absolutely perfect. Now I was hitting the ball, though it was a cork ball at that point of time. And it was like I was timing it so beautifully. I suddenly became confident of myself just through the one thing that I was being good at on that particular day. Not that I was good in playing cricket, but that day I felt very good about myself. And that actually changed a lot of things. That actually told me, hey, I felt good about myself. So it's just about feeling good. Something you do that makes you feel good about yourself. And that's what I felt. Possibly, I think, for the first time. And that was when I was about, say, 11, 12 years old, I think. And that was a great moment. I remember that very, very well.
You talk about feeling great about yourself. Many people to this day believe that they can never become something because they aren't qualified for it. And the reason why I bring this up is that you yourself walked out of a film school, did not get your master's degree in computer application due to, I was reading, attendance issues, and then joined advertising quite by fluke, where your superior said that you were unfit for advertising. And you went on to become group chairman of an ad agency and a very successful filmmaker. So my question to you is, what really drives you? We want that recipe.
The fact of the matter is, when I joined advertising and I was told that I wasn't good at it and my mind was somewhere else and I wanted to make films and I had this vague dream without being qualified how to make film. I actually, what really affected me was the fact that I knew they were right. It was the fact that my mind wasn't in it. I wasn't good at it and I didn't know what to do. But what really changed was, again, a day like in that cricket match. The day that I just got in one incident, I remember this ad very clearly. It was for an ad for Nutrient cream biscuits. I remember that. This cream biscuits are long biscuit packets that my grandfather used to always give it to me when the train was moving. When I used to go visit him in summer holidays when I was going back, he used to always put this cream biscuit through the train window. So I just looked at this biscuit and I'm talking of cream and everything else. I didn't know a damn about advertising. I looked at it, these are not biscuits. These are great hellos and these are great goodbyes. That's what they are. That one particular, just an experience, just I think stroke of luck that I saw a product which had played a role in my life. And I quit in one shot. That day, I knew advertising. So it's like, sometimes whether you choose to make it as a career or not is unimportant. I chose to make it. But when you know that, hey, I get it, the high of that is absolutely phenomenal. When you know that I can get this, like I got everything, I got strategy, I got everything, I got what is positioning, I got what everything. Without knowing a single terminology, I got the whole thing of advertising to that one. After that, I stuck in advertising. I loved advertising because when you're good at something and you're not good at anything else, hey, you kind of start looking at the things that you're good at and you just keep moving on. And I've always believed when somebody asked me, how are you going to be a filmmaker those days? I said, see, I'll be walking. I was in Bangalore those days. And I said, I'd be walking on MG Road and somebody would come with a suitcase and give me lots of cash to make a film. So in my head, that image was quite clear. That briefcase has money. That money is coming to buy an idea. I give idea, I get money. So it was like a kind of a feature. The dream that I had of how I'd make a feature film was actually happening in advertising. So I loved it. Hey, I'm telling stories. He's using it for his welfare. I like telling stories. They are paying the agency money. So I'm happy. He's happy. Everybody's happy. So I like the transaction, very simple thing. And that's why I got addicted to advertising, because I love telling stories. Somebody's always ready to pay for better stories. So I like that. Yeah. So that's how I stuck on. And even though people told me I was not good at advertising, which was very true, once I knew that I knew advertising, then I wouldn't let any. Then they wouldn't affect me. I remember when I was in Bangalore and a lot of other, I think Bangalore was just a growing creative market at that point of time. And there were a lot of fantastic creative people in Bombay who were doing great creative work. I remember Trikaya at that point of time, Googleby had not started doing the work they were doing at that point. Piyush had not kind of taken over that then. I had all these guys. I remember Freddie, all these chaps, Christopher, Alok, all these guys. It was never that I felt ever not the best. Because when you feel you can do something, even though you haven't done it to the fullest of potential, you're on the path because you're going to do it. You want to do it continuously. So that I would never let any other great pieces of work intimidate me. I love them, I'd appreciate them, but I'd move on. I never have ever seen a piece of work and said, I wish I could do that ad. Except I think one small little that Nude Models wanted of Grey, which was an iconic ad when they wanted babies. Wow, what a beautiful way to do it. But I never thought about it for a very, very long time after that. So that was one thing that happens, that till you get it, you're always under pressure of what people say, because part of what they say is quite true. You don't know it. But once you know it, I don't think anything affects you after.
But that's my other question. I mean, yes, you were fearless in following what you believed in, but there must have been times where you felt you were right. The client didn't think so. So then what happens? What do you do?
Yeah, a lot of times. I think I remember this when I came to Lintas, Bombay, to head the creative. I remember I did the Pepsi Dishum ad, and
खाओगे? नहीं यार, आज मम्मी के साथ सॉलिड डिशम हुआ। कैंडी खाते हो, चॉकलेट खाते हो, ये खाते हो, वो खाते हो, सड़ जाएंगे, दांत सड़ जाएंगे, ये वो डिशम। रोज सुबह ब्रश करता हूँ यार।
Vindi Banga looked at the ad and said, "You really let me down. I had great hope in you. This is rubbish. You're taking Pepsodent down the tube. Very down market ad, all that stuff." I didn't know what to do because it was a very prestigious account at that point in time. And there was no way to say, I never have sold an ad to anybody. I tell an ad and you like it, but you don't like it. And I think I have the confidence to say, hey, if I like it, you like it. And that's how I've always approached advertising. If I like it, most probably 98 times out of 100, you'll also like it. But here was one thing that I liked it and somebody didn't like it. So I don't know how to sell it. I'm very bad at selling things because I don't think there's anything like selling in that way, you know. So I was panicking, and Levers was Lintas' biggest client, and looked at Vindy and I don't know why I said this. This is my first interaction with him. I just told him, what will you lose if you run this ad? 3 crores, 4 crores of media money? It's actually peanuts in the overall Levers budget. What will I lose? I'll lose my job. I'll lose my career. And I don't think I'll ever be in advertising. Once sacked by Lintas on Lever's insistence, I don't think many people will find a job. So forget finding a job. I never want to do advertising after that. What do you say? He just looked at me in shock. He was having a very serious conflict about a brand that was having, and here is a guy who's having an existential conversation about some ad. And he said, I don't know what's in you. You just go ahead, run it. If that's what you feel like, run it. Be prepared. I'll hold you to it. You will go, right? I said, I will go. Of course I will go. When the ad worked, gangbusters and Pepsodent did very well, he was the first guy to come and tell me, listen, I owe you a. I asked him one day, what do you give me if it works? So I'll give you a crate of champagne. I'm still waiting for the crate of champagne. But he was kind enough to say, you're right. Sometimes it's not the belief. If you, who have the responsibility of figuring out what's right, believe in all its purity, if you believe something is right, then I think most probably you'll never go wrong. And that's the only belief I've worked with all my life. There are a lot of times I failed when I truly also haven't believed and tried to put on a belief. And that's when you kind of fail. And you question yourself for failure and that, and there's bad luck and shit and curses. No, but the fact of the matter is, you also knew at the back of your heart, somewhere it doesn't work. And that's why it happened.
But has there been an instance where you were forced to accept that, yes, you were wrong?
Oh, yeah, quite a few times. I mean, it's not once or twice. In fact, when I was the creative head of Lintas, I've not liked a few campaigns which have actually been correct. I've used all kinds of words like boring, not interesting. But every brand at some point of time has to do a few things to earn the right to do certain things. So I would never have the patience. I used to kind of, really trash a few things around. And they would be actually, they were right. I knew it, but I always have this greed of saying that, hey, can this be more interesting? But no, they were right, because it couldn't be more interesting. This was interesting to the people they were kind of selling it to. It wasn't interesting to me. So therefore I was wrong. Like Tanishq there was one example that before all the iconic Tanishq advertising happened of makes you want to get married, or the remarriage ad, before all that, there was a phase of Tanishq where they did only print selling stories of jewelry design. And I found it very boring. I said, what are you trying to sell jewelry design? Little did I know there were a lot of people who were dying to kind of read it, wanting to have stories of their jewelry being told. And it was long back before anybody else tried to tell stories on jewelry design. I didn't quite get it. It proved to be the most successful phase of Tanishq at that point. So I was wrong quite a few times. I actually knowingly did wrong a few times. Sometimes you don't believe in something and nobody stops you, and it gets through and it bombs, and you feel really, really guilty of a lot of things. But by and large, I've stayed true to what I believe. I mean, nothing's perfect. I think there's a lot of compromise that's necessary to keep on doing what you're doing. Every time you can't be idealistic, but you need to be idealistic almost 8 out of 10 times, because what happens is the times that you fall, that you are untrue to yourself and you get away with it, that's the worst thing. If you can get away with it, I mean, that's a bad habit. Then you've got a bad habit. Then you say, hey, you can get away with it. I don't have to. And fortunately for me, I have fallen flat in those times when I've tried to get away with it and it hasn't happened. So sometimes luck also plays a part in bringing you back to the right path.
Let's talk about filmmaking. You're today a successful filmmaker. We know of the successes. Tell us about the pitfalls.
See, successes to me are, it's not a failure. That's what a success is. I don't think it's anything more than that, because you don't actually react to success. Success is almost like, oh, I got the excuse to make the next one. I'm not going to be distracted in making the next one. I think that's what success is, and nothing more than that. But failure has got a strange kind of power, if you let it, which I did. When I did Shamitabh, I thought I had made God's gift to mankind, because it was an ode to India's greatest voice, and I was taking on a big responsibility, and I was doing this thing. And when people trashed it and it didn't work, I was really depressed. And even the people closest to me, my friends, my advertising friends, even some of my family, I mean, they actually, they wouldn't, may not use cruel words, but maybe I could feel cruelty in everything at that point in time, because I was like trashed in public. So I was really, really down in the dumps. And it was a strange down, because I had not faced anything like this for a very, very, very long time in my life. And I'd actually almost had public humiliation. What do you call it? You feel always you've been publicly humiliated. I took it very close to heart. And Amitji and actually Jayaji called me. Both of them spoke to me, brief phone call, and said, they didn't analyze, they didn't say what it was. They didn't pretend to kind of acknowledge my problem or whatever. They just said, you know what? Get up, start writing. I don't give a damn what film you write, whether it's for me or whether for anybody else, but just get it right. I want to see a script, regardless of who it is for, in the next 1 month. And that's a diktat. And that's it. I mean, I don't know. I mean, he doesn't have to be worried about me. He's seen so many directors come and go, and neither does Jayaji have to be worried about me. Just that stroke of something, there's some connection beyond anything else, which just made them identify with maybe the pain of somebody who tried to attempt to do something and fell flat.
Maybe because they've seen the kind of failure that you speak of. Maybe they've been there, so they're sensitive to what you must be going through.
It just really motivated me to write the thing. And I didn't even give a damn whether it was as good. My passion is coming from my heart, from my left foot or right foot. I don't know where it was. I just wrote and I just did it. I did a film the fastest then. After I failed, I actually did my next film faster than I've done any other film. You know, I did the film in 8 months after Shamitabh. I've never done a film so fast. I wrote and shot it. When some things work, I don't do it for 4 years. I don't do a film for 3 years, 4 years, and I just chill. I feel somehow when you're on the back foot, the kick to go forward is stronger. When in the front foot, the laziness to walk ahead is a little bit more. So this front and back are all kind of created by ourselves, created by our conditioning in society, conditioning of what is somebody respecting you or not, because that seems to play a big role in all our lives. Till you actually realize all of it is a game and all of it does not matter. It doesn't matter whether they respect you or don't respect you. It's the same damn thing. There is no difference. Everybody is in the job of what's in it for me, what's in it for you. It's a very civilized transactional game. We take this concept of success and failure too seriously. It doesn't matter to anybody actually. Nobody's thinking of you, regardless of whether you're a success or a failure. People have too many things to think about. And that, if you realize, I realized that quite some time. Actually, nobody is really thinking of you. You just do it. Let people see the film. People see what you do. They have a laugh. They like it. Don't like it. That's it. That the deal ends there. Nothing more than that.
And your family, of course. Your family is always affected by your failures, your lows and ups. More your lows because of the impact it has on the family.
My family, they neither do they think of success or failure. They're not affected. They just like to see me not being affected. That's about it. It's never a big deal for them. So that way, I'm actually quite lucky.
So let's talk about mental health. You spoke about failure. You spoke about being down. Did you ever think you were depressed during that phase of Shamitabh not doing well?
I don't think I had time to be depressed. I was just stunned into, what do I say, a zero. You know, when suddenly a hammer hits you like those Tintin comics, bang, you're like this, you're shrunk like that, you know, shrunk. That's how I felt. And because of the shock and the suddenness of it and the unexpected nature, at least in my, as far as I'm concerned, if I had just had a little more time, if I had 1 more year of in that same state of stunnedness, I would have gone into depression. And thank God there was that phone call and the people who were, said the right thing at the same time, the right time. So that really helped. But yes, I actually have not, it has been nothing to do with films that have depressed me. Nothing to do with advertising that has depressed me. In fact, more things in advertising have depressed me than films. I think I used to kind of, what I do get affected are when I'm not able to understand people, say a relationship of a certain kind. It could be with a friend, it could be with your wife, it could be with anybody. And then you're attempting to try and figure out what is happening in the same thing. Why is it going wrong? Or why is it going right? And I'm not able to solve it. I get into a kind of a meaningless kind of a zone very fast. And that I think you could call it depression, you could call it something, but I tend to get into this meaninglessness of existence. I mean, what am I doing? This non-questioning aspect of it, does nothing matters, happens to be quite a bit. It's actually philosophically liberating. At the same time, on a day-to-day basis, and the kind of work that we do, which all depends on your connections with life. You need to be enamored by life. You need to be amused by life. You need to be kind of existing by life. So you can't on one side be connected to life, or on one side be try and detach yourself from life and saying nothing matters. This schizophrenic existence is what sometimes pulls you kind of into kind of. I wish I was in a job which has got nothing to do with connecting with life. I could, say nothing matters, and I could just be wandering, could be farming, I could be with the soil and smell the earth and this thing, and it'd be quite beautiful. And I can say nothing matters, but everything matters. The same thing when I'm saying he doesn't matter, she doesn't matter, that opinion doesn't matter, this life doesn't matter. I'm interacting with that the next day, and actually I'm getting a trip out of that stuff, and I'm writing a story on this stuff, on nonsense, what I called nonsense before. I'm making it a story, I'm getting kicked about it. On the other hand, I go back home and say, oh shit, it's all meaningless. Life is this thing. So you can't do, comic book and Bhagavad Gita like this together at this, and that really kind of, shakes you up.
So at what point did you see a therapist?
First time I met a therapist, I was fun. I want to just check it out. I want to see what is this. I've seen a lot of Woody Allen films, and I said, okay, I must see a therapist. It's cool, to see a therapist. I mean, Woody Allen sees a therapist every day, so I should try. So I just went, I just met this thing. It was fun. It was lovely to just see somebody who is so interested in you, who's forget the fact that it's their profession. It's not that nobody else is interested in you. It's because you are not interested in many people in the world. You think that nobody is interested in you too. You always extrapolate your feelings something because you just want to write a story. You're not interested in real people. I have this cushion in my house that says emotionally attached to fictional characters. I am. I'm not emotionally attached to real characters. Okay, so therefore, when you're in that zone, you think everybody also feels the same thing. But actually, no, people don't feel this way. And the therapist, he was kind of treating you, almost like molding you like a little child, like taking you, leading you in the path, interested in you, interested in the workings of your mind, finding little loopholes, taking you back to areas that you were pushed behind out of boredom or out of saying, enough of that bullshit. I don't want to go there again. Something that happened in your school days, something that happened there, which triggers off a certain behavior in you. When you touch those parts in casual conversation, things you've never discussed with the best of your friends or even your wife or your family, it just opens yourself up to not being ashamed of your own life. It is so beautiful to not be ashamed. The pain, the trouble, the ugly parts, the not so interesting parts, the boring parts, the ugly people, the not so interesting people, the cruel people, who you've just pushed away to the background. You just said, my life is normal and my life is boring. My life is middle class. My life is middle. No, it's not. Because those were the things that you fought too easily. You fought, how did you fight? You just pushed back. So the pushing, because they are the richness of life. And when you bring that, when you're reminded of that, and what happens in therapy is you're led to your own life. You're not led to anything else. You're just led to your own life. It makes you get in touch with your existence, the way you have lived. It's not examples of how somebody else has lived, nothing. It's just how you've lived. And everybody in the world, I feel, has lived a very rich life. It's just the fact that they don't know some things are riches, something are rich. Sometimes you mistake the richness for poverty, and you kind of have sleepless nights. These are people who can come and tell you, I found so many aspects of my life that I've dismissed as boring and uninteresting, and this thing so rich. I today would not miss, unless I'm traveling, I'm on a flight, or I have a medical emergency, or I'm actually watching a damn interesting cricket match. The only thing that's better than that, or I'm really writing something which is very interesting. These are four things that may come in the way of therapy. Nothing else can. every week, and I make it a point to kind of do my therapy because I'm looking forward to meeting somebody who's interested in me. I think that's what a therapist is. There is somebody who's interested in you to take you back to yourself.
Interesting perspective, because there is still stigma attached to seeing a therapist, first of all. But you didn't wait for something to happen.
I want to have less obstructions in my head. I want to kind of open up new channels. Like my therapist has told me that you actually find human beings very boring. You don't want to get into the depths of a feeling or a relationship or a thing. Even your movies are all about lovely ideas, lovely things, floozy. Everybody's happy and just wit and sarcasm, and they say it's all happy. You just are too bored with the intricacies of human pain or this. Yeah, I said I don't like this. I don't like this. Like, who the hell is very boring? Who the hell wants to go into pain and people? I'm not going to sit and write and waste my life doing this kind of. It's not that I want to do those kind of films, but hey, you just realize that there is a lot of beautiful things there. And there can be a lot of jokes and pain. The wonderful jokes of pain. I think Woody Allen got a lot of his humor also by looking at his pain in a very funny way. Today, we look at therapy when you see a Woody Allen film as a kind of a nice joke or a nice some witty lines. But no, I think there's a lot of pain down there. And there's a lot of seriousness down there, and actually getting in touch with yourself and laughing at it. You can only laugh at yourself if you know yourself pretty well. It's if you don't even understand, how do you laugh at yourself? Finally, it's not about taking yourself seriously. It's about knowing everything about yourself so that you can have a good laugh. And a good laugh, not an artificial, superficial laugh.
But did that teach you something about your emotional quotient? Did you feel that you were lacking?
I did. I'll tell you, I did. I felt a lot that I was lacking. Not that it improved my either my relationships or my sudden interaction with my parents or whatever. That was what it was. What it did improve was a connection with myself. Like when my best friend and my producer Anil Naidu passed away in November. I don't think I've ever been affected by anything in my life as much as that. It was too sudden. It was just there. I didn't even know what it was. I used to keep bawling in the middle of the night, and I used to keep crying. And I was like, I was a broken man. I don't even know why I was broken. Yes, I was. It was not like I was missing him. There was no words. Oh, I miss him. Oh, I miss him professionally. Oh, he was there. Nothing of that sort. It was just a deep pain. And it really hit me about, I went back into the meaninglessness. It doesn't matter. You're there one day, it's gone next day. I went into all those philosophy. And it was beautiful to have my therapist actually telling me how to, it's the first time I've really had a human experience. I suddenly realized that nothing in life had given me a human experience as much as that man did. And his death actually made me more human than more aware. When I say human, I mean being more aware of so many channels inside me which were all clogged up, which was opening, which was like breaking down without any words, without knowing what it was, just opening up. And though it didn't result in anything great, I didn't become a better writer or a better human being, a better thing. I just touched parts of myself which I never have. And I really felt I had a very energizing experience. It's quite beautiful. I still feel, I cry when I think of Naidu because it's so beautiful, not because it's so sad.
That's so amazingly put, Balki. It took somebody's death to make you come alive.
Absolutely. And actually the groundwork of it had been, that was like, it was for the last 3 years, I've been seeing a therapist every day. And while I was, there were no problems we were tackling. I was not in great depression or any issue that I had. I wasn't any medicated, nothing of that sort. I was certified mediocre.
Not true. I don't think anybody watching this will agree with that statement. I think you're far from mediocre.
But I'm saying I was very happy space. Mediocre is a great space to be in. It's just that you're not disturbed by yourself or by anybody else. That's a lovely space to be in. But this disturbed me. And when the groundwork has been laid to be so comfortable with yourself, and a thing like this happens, it's just waiting to kind of open up as a human. It's just, I felt human that day. I don't know why. I can't put it that way. We all have different definitions of being human, being kind, being generous, being angry. I didn't feel, I've been all that, but I've never felt human. This was the first time I did. And that was beautiful. I would thank my therapist for being interested in my life. regardless however professional and whatever fees that goes into it, it's incredible that another human being actually spends their life being interested in you. That is a great occupation. And I just wish everybody has the luck to see a good therapist, who can kind of make them in touch with themselves. I really wish that would happen. That it's a stigma is shocking to me. That's because I think we don't even understand it. I think I always feel the only cure for this is cinema. Please make more movies and therapists so it becomes cool for people to see therapists. It's quite everything becomes cool through fashion, music. Let's do a few brands. Let's do couch dressing or something like that, and let's make therapy in fashion or whatever it takes to kind of make therapy.
Zindagi actually did.
I'm saying we need a lot more Dear Zindagi. I think Dear Zindagi was a path-breaking kind of film where it actually spoke about therapy in such a desirable manner. Shah Rukh Khan in linen pants as a therapist, how can you make it more desirable than that? It's so beautifully written and beautifully emotional and such a lovely experience. I'm surprised that more and more people are not doing things because you can have so much fun in therapy. You can have so much of humor. You can have so much of coolness to therapy. I think it's the job to make therapy cool. We don't have to always be prescriptive about therapy. We just need to remove the stigma out of it. And whatever artificial ways it requires to remove the stigma out of it, automatically people benefit once more people go into it. And I always felt funny when we go to a doctor with a leg pain, we have no issues. But when we always never think of the mind as a part of our body. And that's what's strange to me. And I don't understand why. But we wear a helmet because it's the most important part of our body. And we don't kind of heal it when it's kind of affected. We're very crazy as human beings, very stupid as human beings sometimes. I would love to kind of speak to as many people as I can to share my experiences with. So would Gauri. And I don't think it's about campaigning and saying things. It's about really, I want to really make therapy cool.
We are hopefully trying to make it, normal, at least by talking about it, for people who are undergoing mental health issues and really need help, but they're concerned about what others think about them. What is your message?
It's like when you start your career and somebody doesn't believe in it, you have to do what you believe in, what you feel like. You might have to you cannot wait for others to understand it. You cannot wait for a support system because you're actually going towards a support system. If you already had a support system and if you already had help at home, you wouldn't be reaching out to somebody. So why are you asking permission and something from somebody who's not helping you? So they will come around, they will understand, but you are supposed to be the forefront. I would always tell them that, listen, this is your chance to be the first in the family or the first in your circle to be something. Don't lose that opportunity. Don't be the second even in that and wait for it. Just use this and kind of show them you were the first to have to address this problem. You could actually set an example because we all get very few chances to set an example in life. So when you get a chance, let's not kind of lose it. Use this as an opportunity. Oh, they don't know about it. They're not going to be of much help. They're not going to be supported. This is my chance to tell them how good it is.
For people who are facing failure, for people who are facing loss, what then is your suggestion? What is your advice?
You really are not alone. You're actually quite normal if you're facing loss, and if you're facing failure right now. There are lots and lots of people facing it. It's a temporary thing. It will pass. Just get yourself engaged. Don't be obsessed. This is not the time where you're going to have the same questions as you would have had in normal times, which you shouldn't even have even then. Engage yourself in a lot of things. This is the time to say, actually, hey, I don't have a job. Thank God. Let me just figure it out. This is a time maybe to say, not really that, oh God, what am I going to do next year? I don't have money. I don't have this. It's not going to come. If the inevitable is there, it's just not going to happen. It's not your fault. Sometimes it is your fault. Sometimes it is not your fault. Mostly it is not your fault. And this time for sure it is not. It will pass. Just entertain yourself in as good a manner. By entertain, I don't mean watching Netflix and Amazon. Just engage yourself with yourself. Just read maybe, talk to people, or just walk, or do a lot of things which you've never done. Because these are rare times. Don't compare it to anything. Don't question yourself. These are unusual times. It will pass. Normalcy will set, and you won't have the time to explore all the things that you have to right now when the normalcy sets. So actually look at the failure and the losses a little differently from what we normally would do.
You are not alone. Important thing to remember. Thank you, Balki, for making therapy cool, for sharing your experience, really moving us with what you've been through, and really putting it out there that if you are in a state where you need help, you need to go out and seek it, and it's okay. for you to do that. So thank you on that note for being on Zen Brain.
Pleasure. Thank you. Thank you, Shruti.